All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see by the title and the thumbnail, the entire sober living got a parole violation. Now, before we get into that, around 1989, I became addicted to drugs and the fast lifestyle, out hustling, in and out of jail and prison, and eventually in 2004, I would get clean. Along the way, I accumulated a lot of good stories, and today I'm going to give you one of those. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that like button, drop a comment, let me know what you think. Let me know some of your crazy stories about sober living, because that's ultimately what this one is about. It's about being in a sober living house, and yeah, it's a little crazy. So this has got to be 2001, maybe, and I got out. I'm on probation. I didn't get a parole violation. I ended up with a probation violation from this one, but it's all kind of the same thing. So at this point, I believe I was on probation in San Bernardino and LA counties. I hadn't went on probation in Riverside yet. That was to come. But I got out on it was like a Prop 36 type of deal, and they had me go into meetings and stuff, and they basically wanted me to go into a sober living facility. So I did that by my probation officer's recommendation. And if you don't know what a sober living facility is, basically it's like a normal house, just like your house or my house. Typically, they're like maybe 3 or 4 bedroom homes, and there's like bunk beds in the room. And, each one is going to vary. They're not all the same. But basically, somebody owns the house that typically is a practicing member of sobriety, and maybe they're sponsoring some guys. Maybe they'll put some of their sponsees uh, into their home. And like at the time, I believe it was like I had to pay like $400 a month or $300, something like that. It wasn't that much, but then again, this was 20 some years ago. But okay, so it's a regular house, and they make you apply for food stamps and stuff, and they use that money to put food into the house, and then you know somebody will cook or something, or like I said, depending on the sober living that you're in. But each room's got bunk beds, so like on a typical 4 bedroom home, you got 8 guys staying there, and typically it's either male or female. Obviously, this one was a male home, and the guy that ran the place, he was different. He was a white dude. This place was in San Bernardino. I want to say it was like on 8th Street in the downtown area. If you're familiar, you probably know right about where I'm talking about. It was down in the Scombe Lake area. This was before they did all that changing and built that school and all that stuff down there. I don't even know if the house is still there, to be honest with you. But I believe there were 7 of us in there at the time, because it's like a transitionary place. When you're new into recovery, you go into a lot of times you'll go into a sober living, and you're saving up your money because you're not paying obviously, whatever rent will be for your own place, for an apartment or whatever. So it's a chance to build yourself up a little bit, save some money, work on your credit, whatever it may be, get some sobriety under your belt. And so there were 7 of us there. A couple other white guys. There was a dude, he was a Nazi lowrider, and then there was a guy that was a skin, and then there was a couple of paisas, and then there was a homie. And, everybody had been around the block. Most of the guys were on parole. And to be honest with you, this was not a good place to be. This is where my probation officer sent me, though, and I, just told my probation officer, like, obviously I didn't want to say too much, but I just said, I don't feel like this is a good place for me. And my probation officer basically told me, too bad. This is where you're going to be. for the next 6 months or whatever. So, I had to suck it up. Well, on more than one occasion, one of the Paisa guys, let's call him Jose, he was in the backyard in his car smoking dope. you know, uh, for the most part, like we would go to bed, like lights out was around 10. It was kind of like being in jail, you know what I mean? But with a gate pass, if you will, and being able to eat the foods you want and have visits pretty much whenever you wanted them. So, dude was, we knew dude was back there smoking dope. The owner of the house, now this guy was something else. He had been to prison. He, was off parole and everything. This guy, let's call him Jeff. White guy, probably 5'10", 230, 240, kind of a pot-bellied guy, bunch of tattoos. Thought he was too cool for school type of fella, and like he would come around basically and collect rent. And when you're in these uh, you know sober living homes, everybody gets an assignment. Like obviously you have to keep your area clean, but like a lot of times, like at 8 o'clock in the morning, everybody gets up and cleans. And maybe your assignment this week might be the restrooms, it might be the kitchen, it might be vacuuming the living room, uh, you know picking up the yard, whatever it may be. And dude would, Jeff would come around, and he always had like some wise stuff to say. You know what I mean? um, and I'll give you some examples. But the the NLR guy that was in there, and I can't remember his name for the life of me. Dude was all blasted back, probably about 6 foot, maybe 200 pounds. Real cool cat, but not the one to mess with, you know. And he would, I would hear him talking to the skin. He didn't really mess with me like that, but I hadn't really been anywhere at this point. I'd been locked up a few times, was on probation, and in the world of criminality, I guess, I just wasn't on their level. But I would hear him tell the skin sometimes, you know, Jeff be talking out of the side of his neck, and one of these days I'm just gonna fucking get off on this fool. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. you know, so some time goes by, we're all doing our thing. The idea is you go out, you work, it's like almost like a halfway transitionary housing type of thing. So you're out doing your thing, and like I said, Jeff would stop by from time to time, pick up rent if there was an issue, kick people out, bring new people in, show them around, whatever. And the guy that was the house leader was Jose, the Paisa dude that was smoking dope in the backyard. So yeah, as you can tell, this was not a good place to be. And I don't tell this story to frighten people that may be new into sobriety and are looking to get into one of these sober livings or transitionary housing type of places. But, you have to make good decisions. And sometimes if probation is on you about doing that, you just have to tell them what it is. You have to pull some covers. So let me get to the way that the whole house got violated, including yours truly. So it was a evening time. It must have been the weekend because we were all there. And Jeff comes around. And Jeff drove like an old Ford pickup, like a 1980 something pickup. It was kind of a rust color, nothing fancy, you know what I mean? But so Jeff pulls up. A couple of us are out front. I forget what we were doing. Maybe we were having a house barbecue or something. And Jeff shows up. And like I said, the NLR guy, he would always be talking shit about Jeff, that Jeff's talking out the side of his neck and this and that and the other. And to be honest with you, I always thought that, that the NLR guy just didn't, he didn't like authority. He didn't like people telling him what to do. But as it turns out, no, he was saying some weirdo shit. And on this particular day, Jeff would feel the wrath of the NLR guy and the skin and one of the paisas. So they're standing out by the curb. We're up closer to the house. We're maybe 20 feet away or so. Now, keep in mind, the police station is right down the street, so there's constantly cop cars going back and forth, either coming on duty or, reporting back to the station at the end of the shift. And Jeff's out there talking with the skinhead guy and the NLR guy. And I probably should have gave him names. I don't like using people's real names because I don't know where they're at this point in their life, and maybe they don't want their stories out there. But maybe on the next one, I'll let you know that there's some fictional names, and we'll use that to make the stories a little more colorful. But so Jeff's out there talking, and I would find out later some young girls were walking by. I don't know if they were underage or not, but they were definitely of the younger variety, maybe right around 18, maybe younger. I don't know. Wasn't really paying that much of attention to that particular situation. But so I guess Jeff made the comment to the white guys, the skin and the NLR guy, that he bet that it still tasted like pee, meaning their private area. And the skinhead made a comment, something to the extent of like, well, what the fuck's that supposed to mean, Jeff? Are you some kind of fucking weirdo or something? And then from the side, the NLR guy, boom, just freaking cracked this dude. Like he had him leaking. The skinhead jumps on him. One of the paisas jumps on him. Like nobody liked this dude. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to go back to jail, so I did not jump in. It was not my fight. I didn't hear the comment being made. So, luckily I was back, but not so luckily, because the cops came and the whole house got a violation. The NLR guy and the skinhead and the one paisa, Jose, who was smoking dope in the backyard most of the time, caught new charges, assault, GBI, all that stuff. I would see the NLR guy in the county. I didn't see the skin. They ended up in different areas, I guess, and I didn't see Jose. But, yeah, they got new charges. I got a probation hold, and then they violated me honestly, I don't even recall what exactly the violation was for, but that turned into 6 months of my life sitting in the county. And then Los Angeles put a hold on me because I had police contact and caught a violation in San Bernardino County. So, of course, they went ahead and matched that 6 months, which all in all, 6 months at that time was like 4 months and 10 days or something, maybe, if you didn't get in trouble. But I had issues with staying out of trouble when I was locked up, because once I was locked up, I was no longer the nice guy from the streets that could do my best to walk away from a situation, because I don't want to go to jail. I'm already in jail. So, you know what I mean? If something needed to be done, boop, bop, 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 I was usually on it, So, anyways, yeah, that's my crazy story about how the entire sober living house caught a violation. And, the dude, Jeff, he was a sponsor of many people and pretty well respected within the sobriety community. And, I guess the moral of the story is, even though you are moving towards sobriety and you're looking for help, still use your common sense. If something don't seem right, like, you are not bound to this sponsor until the day you die. if something is weird, if something don't make sense, if he's having you do shit that you don't think is right, that's why you have to network and talk to people, other people that are in recovery, people maybe that are at a further stage than you. That way, if your sponsor tells you to rub your stomach and hop on one foot, you know what? You can call up your boy who's dealing with a different sponsor and say, "Hey, is your sponsor having you do this? Because this don't seem right." And then you make a educated decision as to whether you want to continue to be a sponsee of this individual or not. Just like Jeff making weirdo child molester type comments, I wouldn't want him to be my sponsor. And just to be clear, he never was my sponsor. But, like you're not bound to these people. Your objective is to work the 12 steps of recovery and move forward with, trying to be a better person in life. Because when we're on drugs, we tend to not be ourselves, and a lot of our morals and good decision making go out the window. So I hope you guys enjoyed the story. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. If you didn't like the video, give me a thumbs down. Either way, it helps the algorithm, so I appreciate it. Also, share the video. It may help somebody, and it definitely helps the channel to grow. You can also become a member. Just hit that join button, and there's different levels to this shit. You know what I mean? So check that out. And, like I always say, family, fitness, and freedom are the cornerstones of my sobriety, right? They helped me to change my life, and I feel like they can help you as well. Also, my email is in the description. So if you have any questions or anything, or looking for a meeting or something, definitely hit me up on the email. I don't check it every day, but I try to respond to any emails I may get at least once a week. And I want to give a special shout out to Monk McCool, who kind of spurred the idea of this story, talking about sponsee stories. Like I said, dude wasn't my sponsor. I don't know if Jeff was a piece of shit or not, to be honest with you, but he sure gets portrayed that way by what happened. And obviously, the homeboys didn't take what he was saying lightly and felt like he was being disrespectful. So, it is what it is. Anyways, I hope everybody is having a great week. Weekend's just about here. So, let's have some fun. Let's do the sobriety thing, and let's work towards being better. Don't look at the mountain. Just start climbing.